There's one legend that's just completely shattering the Spiritforged meta over in China. He's posting win rates that honestly look pretty fake, and while everyone else is busy figuring out the new set, Draven's already managed to emerge as top dog so far. In the very first week of major Chinese city challenge tournaments for Spiritforged, Draven took first place at a staggering 6 of the 9 events. On top of that, they locked down 15 of the 36 total top 4 spots, way more than any other legend. This also isn't some sort of one-off, it's a clear pattern. In another large 128 player event, Draven was once again the most represented legend in the top 16. 6 different Dravens made the cut. The data doesn't lie, the community is buzzing, and the message is coming out from the east loud and clear. China belongs to Draven. So today we're going to break down the data, unpack the insane card drawing engine that makes this all possible, and show you exactly how to build and pilot the deck that's dominating the competition. We'll take a look at the core cards, the synergies, and most importantly, how you can either join the League of Draven once Spiritforged comes out to the rest of the world, or learn how to take them down. So what's the deal here? What problem is Draven actually solving? When a new set like Spiritforged releases, it launches into total chaos. The meta is a huge question mark, and every player is gonna ask, what's the best thing to play right now? Some players will focus on refinement, others will try new things. Draven players though, they found an answer that's clear, powerful, and pretty consistent. The whole strategy revolves around Draven himself, with a simple sounding legend ability. When you win a combat, draw a card. While it may sound simple and maybe not like a whole lot, the power this brings is absolutely deceptive. This doesn't just trigger when you conquer a battlefield after all. In Riftbound, you win a combat if, after everything resolves, only your units are left standing where the fight happened. A perfect example of this is something any players know all too well. If you have a card that bounces an opponent's unit back to their hand or base, you've won that combat, which allows you to draw a card. The same will happen if you use a spell like Void Seeker to destroy the opposing unit. You win a combat, draw a card. This can essentially turn every combat interaction into card advantage if you have the right cards in your hand. Now the red color in Riftbound is pretty aggressive, and it's great at picking a lot of little fights, but they've always had one problem. They tend to run out of gas. And by that I mean they lack card draw. It's why Kaisa Survivor is considered so essential to many red decks out there. It has Accelerate, which means it's an instant threat on the field, and if you use it correctly, you're pretty much guaranteed to draw a card. So it basically replaces itself. But Draven largely erases that weakness. Each successful trade or removal spell doesn't just clear a path, it refills your hand, which in turn gives you even more fuel to pour on the fire. The more cards you have in your hand, the more options you have, and that's why card draw is so important in card games. That said, Draven doesn't just stop here. The 4-cost champion card, Draven Vanquisher, is seeing the most play in these decks, and that's because it's an aggressive body that fits the game plan perfectly of making sure you win a combat. What's even scarier is when you mix that in with the signature gear Spinning Axe. A relatively cheap piece of equipment with quick draw, meaning you can play it at reaction speed. So when an opponent thinks they got a good trade lined up, you hit them with the Spinning Axe, win the combat out of nowhere, draw a card for your trouble, replace that Spinning Axe, and then you have another option in your hand. This will more than likely get you a point through holding, and may have just cost them a pretty essential unit to their kit. And that right there is what makes this deck so resilient and punishing to fight. That said, it's important to recognize that Draven's power doesn't just come from his legend ability and these new Spiritforged cards. There are plenty of staples which come from Origins that also highlight and fit the game plan perfectly. Darius Trifarian, for example, is a natural fit because it causes an immediate threat that could potentially get you a card drawn after being played. Another staple in Origins that will see play here is Cleave, because it allows you to push extra damage and potentially win another fight and replace itself with another card. This sort of thing just lets Draven keep up a pace that other aggro decks can't, because they'll eventually run out of cards. Draven just keeps reloading his hand, and every success is just another card into his hand, so it replaces whatever just got used. The second nasty interaction though comes from purple cards. This is where the deck kinda gets really disgusting for the same reason Annie is so annoying to fight. Purple gives you access to reaction speed tricks that let you really control the combat on your opponent's turn. The most common example here is Fight or Flight. An opponent can attack an easy looking target, thinking they're sure to win. But if you play Fight or Flight and they have no way to stop it, you're gonna bounce that attacker right back to their hand, and because your unit is left, guess what? You won the combat, you draw a card, and it replaces your Fight or Flight immediately. Other spells like Gust can serve the same purpose, and they shut down your opponent's attacks while fueling your hand. This can put your opponent in the nightmare scenario where even attacking you can put them further and further behind. Now we've mainly focused on Origin staples, but I do want to talk a little bit about Spiritforged mechanics here because they do come into play. Many of the winning Draven decks are using cards that let you create gold gear. Let's take a look back at Draven Vanquisher. It creates a gold gear token whenever it wins combat. These tokens can then be used and spent as a power resource of any domain. It just provides more and more options that makes you a nightmare to deal with. Another huge card worth mentioning here is Pharah's Forerunner. It's a unit that leaves behind 2-3 Might Mech tokens when it dies. It comes at a heavy cost of 6 runes and 1 recycled red rune, but it is a 6 Might unit that pretty much dies and gives you another 6 Might to play with, which basically ensures that even if an opponent manages to handle your one threat, you've got more bodies ready to start another fight and potentially win the next combat. I fully expect this card to be a pretty big staple for red going forward as well. So now that we have a good idea of why Draven is king, how do we start a revolution and beat the deck that is taking names? Obviously, easier said than done. There's a reason he's at the top right now. That being said, won't be impossible. Draven does have some weaknesses and they just need to be explored and exploited. In my own opinion, I think there's 3 main ways people can try and fight back. First comes high impact removal. Draven players want to win fights with their tricks. Your goal is to not even let them have that combat showdown in the first place. If you can play a card like Vengeance, Singularity, or Falling Star that allows you to take out a unit before it even has a chance at combat, that's ideal. Remember that if a spell is played directly on a unit at a battlefield and there's no opposing unit of yours there, well, that's a non-combat showdown. So if they do manage to keep it alive by playing another card, well, guess what? They don't get to draw off that. This can allow you to stall the engine before it even gets started. The second idea is a legend, and that's Victor. Both Order and Mind cards have very powerful counters that can really affect Draven's game plan. Plenty of buffs, spells, and hidden cards that will do a lot of harm. In fact, it's already shown that it can go toe-to-toe with Draven, even winning one of the city challenges with an all-spell deck that solely relies on the champion unit and tokens created to get points to win the game. The third is, well, to fight fire with fire. Some players are finding success by just being faster. A super aggressive deck that can end the game before Draven's value engine really takes over is a solid plan. It pretty much boils down to, you're not trying to stop their card draw, you're just trying to win before it even matters. Annie would probably be my choice here, but frankly speaking, it's also easier said than done. The last bit of advice here is pretty much advice that I'd give going against any players. You kinda have to learn their cards and get a sixth sense for their tricks. Trying to play around spinning axe or fight or flight being a possibility, not walking into obvious traps. This sort of experience only really comes over time. So ultimately, is Draven the undisputed best deck in Spiritforged? Probably not. Right now in China it is, but it's always worth pointing out that this is very early in the meta. I have little to no doubt that Draven will remain a strong pick going forward. The ability to turn every single combat into a new card draw is a very powerful trick. That said, the meta never really sleeps. As more people pick up Draven, even more people will start working on a counter. Let's also not forget that Spiritforged has yet to hit the rest of the world. It's only out in China so far. Annie saw very little play in China until the rest of the world found a way to make her work. The very same could happen with Spiritforged. Rest assured though, that whatever happens, I'll be here to cover it and give you the newest info. Thanks for watching. If you found the breakdown helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Riftbound content. I'm always looking for feedback, so feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. And until next time, keep riding that rift and stay bound.